from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me, we can only reelect Donald Trump.
Wow, we would have never believed this. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. Go out there and listen to us. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Relevant Rants. Thank you so much for being here. We got an exciting show planned out, but
boy.
we're going to do a different show than the one we had planned out. So
with all the craziness, there's more craziness. And so we're just...
it just keeps getting crazier by the minute, right? It's like, let's come up with a new conspiracy series so we have something else to make true.
I can't believe some of the things that are coming up. I mean, if you're out there and you don't think this is like over the top, we're talking about bringing masks back up. Not us. Others are talking about bringing masks back.
Well, Tom, isn't it hard to even just look at the news and you're like, what?
I thought it was old news, and it's like new news.
Right.
And it's not like we've already talked about this, because if you don't think it's not crazy, let's go back to the New York Times article.
Well, before we go there, I want to read this out loud so people can hear this, Tom.
Read it.
So, as 3 new COVID-19 variants are spreading across the country, many people are wondering, are masks coming back? Like, what the hell? While the Center for CDC, right? Who's the Dr. Fauci's organization?
Fauci's gone,
right? Well, he's in the background. They got to hide him now, just like they did with Joe Biden, right?
He's on an island.
Is it Epstein's Island?
No, somebody else bought that.
That's a Disney Island now. And prevention have not announced new mask mandates. Some schools and businesses are reinstating this familiar pandemic era rule. And depending on your situation, experts say you may want to consider it too. People 65 plus and people who are immunocompromised should strongly consider masking during flu, RSV, COVID season while in indoor spaces. Well, wouldn't you think that people who are immunocompromised should always be on the lookout? It's like, hey, we got a special COVID, so you got to be careful. Well, it's like, I'm immunocompromised. Shouldn't I always be being careful?
My wife is immunocompromised.
She's immunocompromised, definitely by a long shot.
And she takes a medication that tells her to watch out. But my wife is in the public school system, and she doesn't wear a mask. Well, she thinks they're crazy.
A muzzle?
But let's go back and let's read what the New York Times,
the New York Slime
says about it. Says, how well does masking work? Well, here's the results. Questions about masking, for example, were recently revived by a Cochrane study reporting that masks with surgical ones or respirators like N95 make little or no difference. Can you say it?
Did we have to wait like 3 years for New York Times to tell us what we already knew back in 2020?
So unless New York Times is publishing a new study, I would think, because this isn't a magazine.
Well, I think New York Times came out and they're like, hey, you know what you all said? Hey, it took us 3 years, but we figured out that you were right. We didn't have to go through all that trouble to figure that out.
It makes little or no difference in reducing infection at the population level. Hello, don't do it. And we're talking about doing it, Mike. Come on. Let's get smart now. I was in LA a few weeks ago and people driving in cars wearing masks. It's like, you gotta be kidding me.
By themselves.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. How'd you know?
Because they're the only dumbasses still wearing the mask, is the ones that wear the mask all the time. They're like, I'm in a house by myself and it's a brand new house and nobody's ever been in it but me, but I'm going to wear a mask and I'm not going to leave the house.
Well, let's talk about the things that are obvious but not obvious, like wearing masks. Don't do it. I'm not doing it. But obvious but not obvious. Elon Musk praises Trump branding after first X post in years. So, hey, Elon Musk, I liking this guy. And There again, I'm telling you, left, you're losing people. You're losing Bill Maher. You're losing Joe Rogan. You lost Elon Musk.
And more and more and more. But what I thought was the most interesting thing about this article, and I want to read it out loud. So at the same time, Trump is facing legal woes.
And
legal
Elon,
woes, you mean
and
persecution from your political opponents, translation.
You mean from our banana republic?
Right.
The Department of Justice, FBI. We're going to get in trouble, Mike. You know that's happening.
I actually don't care at this point. But but regarding the 2020 election, Musk company is being pursued by President Biden's, and gotta underline that, bold, underline, capitalize, President Biden's Department of Justice, or at this point you just call it Department of Injustice. And why are they pursuing him? So what's crazy is he got this Twitter, right, that previously had been doing all sorts of things for the federal government. It was like an extension of the DOJ, basically, and that was a conspiracy theory that was proven true.
They did a lot of obvious illegal things.
Right.
I think probably
the homeless guy that was running the company.
I think if you can be obvious, then it's not a problem. But
right.
But Musk is being forthright with his stuff, and so they're coming after SpaceX.
Right. But why are they coming after SpaceX? Because they're not breaking the law. So they're coming after them because of their hiring practices concerning asylum seekers and refugees. Basically, they're calling them asylum seekers and refugees. What it is illegal immigrants. So what they're doing is, you're not hiring illegal immigrants. We're coming after your ass.
There's a point with this that's, like we said, obvious but not obvious. It's too obvious. So here's another one that is
another obvious
but not obvious. Our friends at the Daily Wire researched this. Russian warlord, I can't pronounce his name.
Prigozhin.
There you go.
I don't know if that's right either.
Who tried to, here's the key here. Who tried to overthrow Putin, reportedly dead in plane crash.
Plane crash.
Obvious, but not obvious, right?
Right.
He tried to overthrow Putin.
I wonder if Putin called up the Clintons and consulted them prior to that. Like, hey, how do I do this?
Well, the picture here is of a real old guy holding
He's like 90 years old.
Holding a gun. So I've got a question, Mike.
Yeah.
This guy who is over the Wagner Group, which Putin let out prisoners to fight in Ukraine for the Wagner Group. So he's a pretty cagey man because he hires prisoners.
Yeah.
So how'd they get him on a plane?
Wait, which one hires prisoners, Putin or this guy?
Well, Putin hired this guy to hire this guy. So here they got him on a plane. How'd they get him on a plane?
Right.
They probably
everything's gonna be fine.
They screened everybody, and then the plane. If you watch the plane, it looked like it was. I mean, was it hit by a bomb? Or
Well, it crashed, but first it got hit by some kind of missile or something, and then it crashed after that. So yes, it crashed, but something happened prior to the crashing.
Reportedly, he's dead. So I mean, there's got to be a few obvious things because he tried a coup in Russia, which was put down, but then
and then he was put down.
Obvious, not obvious. Hey, I love it when we don't have to say it, Mike.
Yeah.
We're going to play a video from
this one's great.
The CNN, and we don't even have to say it,
They'll
Mike.
just sit here and giggle.
Well, sometimes President Biden just cannot stop himself. During a speech today about the economy, he told at least 2 lies that have already been debunked.
And Joe Biden was wrong.
Isn't everything he says
I don't know that he was lying about it. He might not have been told by Hunter, but this blind spot is a problem.
Look at these leads for Donald Trump. He's at 62% in the CBS News YouGov poll, 57% in Quinnipiac University, 53% in the Fox News poll.
The president has spoken to this issue a number of times in recent weeks.
He has not. Look, John, totally different story than a few weeks ago, right? I mean, why isn't he out there now? Kabul fell yesterday. Where is the president?
President Biden keeps trying to change the subject. If you withdraw 2,500 troops and then you have to send 6,000 back, that's not planned.
Right.
That's on its face an example of a failure.
We're going to subtract a little bit and add more.
You're asking me why we
he's underwater in Wisconsin. You're talking about Wisconsin. He's underwater in Wisconsin.
No, I know and I understand it.
The Justice Department wants to deny what the whistleblowers were saying. But this move makes it seem as though, well, maybe the whistleblowers were right.
Politically, it removes some of the moral high ground that he might have against, all the Trump accusations.
That he was, in fact, paid substantial sums from Chinese companies. Right. Trump was right. I mean, he did make a fortune
right?
from China, and Joe Biden was wrong.
Can we slow that down
right.
and get it in slow time?
Trump was right.
Fact check us on this one. That's from CNN. All those clips are CNN.
Right.
And it's just crazy because the Democrats aren't laughing anymore about Hunter Biden debacle. They're having to take it seriously.
Well, I think this is that moment of like, oh shit. Like, what do we do at this point?
No,
I don't know. Newsom?
Here's an article on the CNN website, and it's from the New York Times. Prosecutors insisted on harsher Hunter Biden plea deal around the time IRS whistleblowers came forward. Of course they did.
Right.
Somebody's going to come tell the truth. Maybe we should charge this guy a little.
Yeah, let's take this a little bit seriously.
Yeah, it's there again. The DOJ's been shredded for inexplicable handling of Hunter Biden probe. They're saying we're generally perplexed.
We don't understand why. I mean,
I'm not perplexed.
It is Joe Biden's Department of Injustice.
I know, and Hunter's last name is Biden.
Right? But you know what? I had no business dealings with my son. Oh, wait, that wasn't true. I just forgot.
Isn't it crazy? Because they, the election, I mean, during the election, they all knew it was right. It was true. And that is the biggest injustice.
But you know, that's the truth about it, right? Like, they should be prosecuted because they did know. And they were the criminals that covered this crap up.
And that is election fraud.
Oh, yeah.
Because people weren't informed. Elections are about informing people about your candidate.
Well, it's not just that they weren't informed. They lied about it and covered it up.
Yeah. I mean, if the people, I've talked to many of my friends that are on the other side of the aisle. They said they would have never voted for Joe Biden knowing what they know about his son and his China dealings.
Yeah, but I got a question.
Huh?
Knowing what they know, but somehow we all knew before the election.
Well, they were listening, and they still,
they were listening to the misinformation.
Let's give them a little bit of.
You're nicer than me.
The doubt or concern, but they wanted to believe in their candidate, and now they're saying he's lying. CNN's saying he's lying.
I think we're at the point now with our national mainstream news media. You just like turn it on to find out what the truth isn't.
Well, it's so funny. The intel people are now saying that these are smoking guns.
Oh.
I mean, something comes out all the time, and it's being verified for a laptop that they said was a Russian hoax, and it's what they were pulling on Trump was a Russian hoax. So now that was a bunch of BS, and so you can't believe them. And if that would have been revealed, then we would have a different president, and the election wouldn't have been.
Well, do you think we're at the point now where even Biden's throwing in a towel? The former, as labeled by CBS, the former President Biden is throwing in his own towel?
There again, they're saying this is a whoopsie.
Right.
But CBS, who doesn't tell the truth
about anything ever,
says that Joe Biden is a former president. I think they're prophesying what's going to happen. I just don't know how you can read the headlines anymore and not realize we were misled.
Hey, Alex, can you pull up that funny clip? And even Joe's like, I'm done. Whatever.
From a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelect. We cannot win this reelection. We can only reelect Donald Trump.
People were clapping.
Right? It's like, we can't win. I mean, that's right. We can't win. We can only reelect Donald Trump. I mean.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody watched the Tucker interview with Donald Trump, but only Donald Trump can say what Donald Trump says.
Right.
Because he starts talking about Joe Biden on the beach. And how, I don't know if you saw him because he's in shorts. And, there again, I mean, I'm in shorts today. And, but he could hardly walk on the beach.
He can hardly walk at all.
Trump was just pointing out the obvious, going,
right.
Hey, this guy isn't fit mentally or physically. I mean, he falls down every place he goes, and he blames everybody else's, and so it's not just the vocal.
I mean, from this regard, I will say honestly, and you've said this before, I do kind of feel sorry for him in a way.
Well, he gets mad at the family because the family's not helping. I mean, his son's taking illegal money, implicating him, putting his dad on the phone, and implicating his dad. And his dad forgets about that, obviously. And then his wife won't say, "Hey, honey, maybe we shouldn't run for president or
reelect." Are you kidding me? She's probably the one pushing him to run.
I want to believe that wives would help husbands.
But I think
my wife helps me. Your wife helps you.
Oh well, absolutely. But I think it's a little different situation here. We're not in a organized, legalized crime family, right?
I love obvious, not obvious. Here we have an article that says Biden administration in talks with Venezuela.
Is it hard to say this with a straight face?
to relieve trade sanctions for a free election. I mean, I think that conversation, if you and
do as I say, not as I do, right?
Hey, we can lift the sanctions, but let us show you how to.
Yeah, because we're the model to follow.
Well, we can show you how to help with the elections, and then we can lift the sanctions. It's so funny.
Well, it's like they want to get as much free gas as they possibly can, because we're like, we're still going to charge $5 for the gas, but like we want to give the gas away for free. So oil corporations, you're not allowed to make any more. We just want to charge $5 for taxes.
Isn't it interesting that people want to maybe tout somebody of a different opinion or different race, and then when they all of a sudden come back and say something they don't like, they get mad at them. There's a black politician who has an opinion that the Democratic supermajority in California is a threat to democracy, not the MAGA.
Speaking of obvious, not obvious.
Yeah, I'm not a MAGA guy. I mean, when I say that, I want to make America great, but I'm not for the crazy right. I'm not there. And then California crime rates reach a record high, regardless of what Comrade Newsom is telling us.
Well,
in California.
What's interesting is, can it reach a record high if we're now calling crimes not crimes, right? We were just having a conversation with Steve Southers the other day from our Muscle Matter show.
Yes, who has a business.
And he was
a
saying,
retail business.
A retail shop. And he said, it's now illegal for me to stop or say anything to people that come in my shop to steal from me.
It's crazy because, we see a Fox article that we have that a well-to-do California residents are loudly booing official at a council meeting. The guy can't even talk because he's trying to propose to them that they're going to house more homeless. And they're stealing from us. And he goes, obvious, not obvious. What the heck? I mean, it's like, so as we're in California, Chinafornia, in Comrade Newsom's model communist state here, another California school district just says, hey, we're going to inform parents of children's decisions at school.
I mean, shouldn't that be obvious?
Well, I know. So I mean,
I want to know what my kid's doing at school.
Yes. so then, of course, we're living in Chinafornia. So as the GOP are influencing people to run for office, if you want to change things.
Right.
They're saying, hey, if you don't like the way schools are, run for school boards. And they're winning in the elections. But we've got the good old Chinafornia and Comrade Newsom that is saying, then we're going to change the rules and not let you vote down our curriculum in the schools.
I mean, it's kind of incredible how he has so much authority, right? Because it's really undeserved.
But like the politician said, it's the Democratic supermajority in California that is the problem. I mean, he can. I mean, it's just what do they call it? It's just it's just a blank check.
Yeah.
I mean, he just calls the legislature, says, "Hey, this is what I want to do."
I mean, he can do whatever he wants at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because California professors are pushing back and they're suing the state over the DEI requirements. I mean, they're basically saying that the diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility requirements force them to take the government's view on politically charged topics. That's what professors are saying. We don't want to have to do that. Too many people are doing it, but there are professors that says we want to stop that. So they're suing the state of California, and they happen to be Fresno area community colleges that are represented in this. So it's like saying, hey, stop it. Then we have the Archdiocese in San Francisco, of all places. The Catholic Church organization is filing bankruptcy because of all the lawsuits brought against the Catholic Church in that area.
Aren't they a nonprofit? What?
Well, I mean, basically, they're just saying that the lawsuits are overwhelming because there's 537 lawsuits against that diocese in San Francisco of child sexual abuse.
I mean, when you when you force men to be celibate, right?
It's one of those things that I do know people with the gift of celibacy. I do.
Sure.
But I don't think it just is handed out.
Not in mass like the Catholics do it.
No. And then Mike, you and I we enjoy shopping at Dick's, but Dick's profits.
Dick's Sporting Goods.
Dick's Sporting Goods. I should say that. their profits are being hit by the retail theft. It's sad when you can have these groups that want to do business, and they do a great business, and they do a really good job of keeping their margins good. They sell all kinds of sports stuff. I mean, I enjoy going in and shopping at Dick's because they represent all the product lines. They really in every sport that people are playing.
It's kind of tough because right now they're kind of the only place around to go get anything like that, right? And it's like, at what point is it the only place you can buy stuff is Amazon? I like going into physical stores, Tom, and being able to grab something off the shelf. And
I do, and I feel like when I'm going in, I am supporting local because it is
still providing jobs to the local economy.
Yeah, it is. So this is an interesting thing, Mike, because I did look this up. Because one of the current cases that are out there is about a Uber driver that flipped the script on carjackers, and as they got in the car, the driver realized that they were going to rob, and so got out of the car as it was moving, was shot, and then returned fire. But if you go out and look this up, you're going to see 20 articles about people who are legally carrying and basically saying enough is enough.
People are sick of the crap.
They are.
Right? And Tom, what would you do?
Well, Mike, you and I have CCWs. And we live in Chinafornia.
Right.
I mean, it's
Kern County.
Yeah. Well, but it is a California concealed weapons carry.
Yeah.
I mean, so you can, and I know when I go to Los Angeles, I'm a little more cautious because they don't think the way we do there. I mean, the victim isn't the victim always. The victim is.
Well, remember the time they came over your window to try to fight?
Yes. Well, Mike,
over something stupid.
Yeah, Mike and I've shared this on the show. Mike and I were in L.A. and this homeless guy was a big tent encampment during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I was on the phone, and this guy was mad dogging you.
Yeah, he was staring me down.
Stood right in front of the car.
Give me some money, fool. What?
And so
That's not how this works.
I was on the phone, and I was looking around, and Mike put his visor down. And the dude got mad and came over to my window and started to
scream at you,
scream obscenities at me. And I'm like, well, he's mad at us because we're not giving him money.
Right.
I'm like, what'd you do, Mike? You're like, I didn't do anything. I just put the visor down.
At that point, that's beyond entitled, right? That's like, no, I mean, that's like almost the gray area between robbing you and being entitled, right? I mean, he came that close to like, all right, at this point, I'm just going to take it from you.
Yeah, I'm just going to berate you for not giving me your money.
Right.
It's like, yeah, no, it's funny when people are going to this. And there again, I mean, it's one of those things where, you just aren't sure how to protect yourself, but it's not going to stop me from protecting myself or my family.
That's right.
And that's where
isn't that our job as men?
As
Tom?
men, provide and protect. And, and you could talk about it. I love what Joe Peterson says over at the Daily Wire. Men need to be fierce. The Bible says that the strong man has to be tied up for someone to take advantage of the household.
Yep.
Well, if they come to your and my house, they've got to get through your dog.
Uh-huh.
And they got to get through my dog.
Oh, yeah.
And your
Yours
dog
is a little bit bigger than mine.
Your dog and my dog are going to be a formidable foe.
They are.
But if they do, and my job and your dog do their job, we get to go to our legally obtained firearm, which we have and been trained, and in the right circumstances will use.
Mm-hmm.
And in Bakersfield, we would probably have a better chance.
Yeah.
Of defending ourselves,
but the truth of
and
the
not
matter
being
is,
convicted of violating somebody who's in our house's rights.
Right. But the truth of the matter is on that issue, Tom, like I don't care when it comes between me and my family. I'm going to protect my family, and if I have to suffer consequences because of it, I don't look forward to that or want that, but I'm going to take care of my family.
Well, you and I can clearly state why we did what we did.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. Well, Mike, we had another show going, but I think we had enough content to fill up our time.
We did.
And if you don't like what we say, you don't have to watch us. I guess it's a free country so far, right?
Definitely.
But there again, if you comment to us, we'll comment back. You may not like our comments. And I talk to people all the time that disagree the way we think. But,
yeah.
I think we think the way we do based on what we know. And, sometimes we're living in an age where, the Bible talks about it. Men are lovers of self, money, and not a respecter of anything else.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Have a great day. God bless.